Hi friends, it's Belinda here from Be Making Joy, and welcome to my channel. This is episode 5 of What Brings Me Joy. This is where I try to come to you every second week from my home here in Calgary, Alberta, Canada, to share my knitting adventures with you and a little bit about my life. If you're new here, welcome, and if you're a returning viewer, I'm so glad to have you back. So today is Sunday, March 26th. And I'll probably be recording this in bits and chunks so I can get this episode ready by Wednesday. We'll see how long I can take before I'm out of breath. We'll see how long I can talk before I'm out of breath. I apologize for not getting an episode out to you last Wednesday as scheduled. When we came back from Denver, I had COVID and I'm still getting short of breath. So, yeah, I didn't leave the sofa for days, but now that my COVID brain is gone, it's time to take stock of where I am with all my projects and reprioritize my to-do list and get back on track. So, in this episode, I have one small finished object to show you, lots of progress on a couple of other WIPs, a yarn I bought in Denver that's not actually from Denver, and the March color of the month from Ancient Arts yarns that I didn't get to show you yet. So the finished bit of accomplishment is this flower, this knit flower. It's a pattern that I test knit a while back for Jordan Chost of Double In Knits. The pattern's now on Ravelry. I think she simply calls it Knit Flower. I will link that in the description notes below. So the petals are each knit individually. There's a wire inside the petal to shape it. And then it's wrapped around. I used a wooden skewer because it's nice and long, like a long stemmed rose. And the pattern calls for a straw and it calls for wrapping it with floral tape. But my daughter did the wrapping for me and she used yarn and glue. So I am really impressed with the job she did. She has such a good eye for detail. I had hoped to always have some flowers on hand for when a quick gift is needed, but I drifted away from this back in the fall. Now that I have somebody in mind to give it to, I finished it. But I don't want to give just one. I think I need 2 or 3 to make a nice little bouquet. So here's my project box that I've set aside some red, white, and pink yarn for these flowers. I've made a bouquet last summer for my sister in the red and white and pink yarns. I now have some petals on hand for a white one. Here's one partially finished. So they start off with, I think it's 12 stitches. And increases to a point and then decreases to a shape of a petal. And I picked out some more yarn to add to this bucket. This one is from the GingerSnapThat from Calgary. The colorways she dyed for, I opened them one each day in December, the mystery boxes, the holiday mystery boxes, and the theme was rock and roll. And this particular colorway, I had to go back and re-watch my videos to remember which one it was. It is inspired by Theater of Pain by Motley Crüe. So do you think that'll knit up some nice little flowers? I hope it's not too stripy. I hope it's sort of comes out in blotches rather than stripes. I think it will make beautiful flowers. So I'm going to take a break here and catch my breath and wind this up in a ball. I'll show you what it looks like in a ball. And probably by the time we finish recording all the segments of this episode, I'll have knit a petal in this color. So I look forward to seeing what that will look like. By the way, it's fingering weight yarn, and they're done on a 3.5 millimeter needle. 3.25 is what I used. I guess gauge is not exactly relevant. But yeah, the Knit Flower pattern by Jordan Schultz from Double In Knits. By the way, I wanted to remind you that if you are interested in holiday mystery boxes for surprise boxes, the yarn companies now are accepting orders for these boxes. Now is the time to place those orders in the next month or so. So keep an eye out on your favorite yarn stores for what they're offering. I know they're actually called Advent calendars or Christmas countdown boxes, but as one of Jehovah's Witnesses that doesn't celebrate Christmas, I simply call them mystery boxes or holiday mystery boxes. So yeah, I've already ordered my box from GingerSnapThat. This year's theme is an enchanted winter fade, and the photos that she posted on her Instagram and her website they look lovely scenes of winter, of whites and blues and purpley. So I think I'm really going to love those ones. I really love a good surprise bag. And I wanted to tell you before I go and wind this, how proud I am of my daughter and the work that she does. She has such a hand for doing fine finicking things. She started crocheting more than a year ago. She did a little bit of amigurumi, and then she moved on to beadwork. And here's a vase full of flowers that she's done. And just a gorgeous little work she's done. Oh, the pussy willows, and I think that's a wheat stalk. And crocuses, I think these are. And they're all wrapped like she did my stem. So I think we make a pretty good team. I knit the petals and she puts them together. I love this. And there, here it is all wound up. I think it's gorgeous. I'm looking forward to using this. So I'm going to finish off this last white petal, cast on this one, and we'll see how that knits up. And if I manage to do that before I post this video, I will insert a picture in here for you. Now, I love winding yarn into cakes. I really do. I'm having a lot of fun with my Swift and ball winder. But it was a bit of a learning curve, but I think I've mastered it. I found it requires a steady rhythm and a steady tension. So I crank it with my right hand, and it's on the Swift over here on the left. And I hold some of these, I hold the yarn strand with my left hand to keep the tension and to keep the tension slightly away from the Swift so that it doesn't get tangled up on the Swift, so that I'm controlling it with my left hand so that it goes into the ball, the cake, nice and smoothly with a nice steady cranking rhythm. I enjoy that. My ball winder is a little bit noisy, squeaky, but I'm having fun with it. Let's try that again with the lights on. Isn't that pretty now? Here's the white flower finished and all assembled, ready for my daughter to wrap it, the stems. And I think I lied, or inadvertently misspoken. These are not fingering weight yarns. These are sport weight yarns, number 2s. This one is the fingering weight yarn. So this is smaller, much smaller, but I think that's gonna still look nice because aren't the more colorful flowers smaller? I think I'm liking how that turned up. It's a slightly stripy, but they're not long stripes. So I think a bunch of these together is going to make a nice little flower. So I'm going to carry on with that plan. Now, moving on to whips. More whips. As I said, we went to Denver for meetings, and so I had to pack a project that would give a lot of knitting for the least amount of space and weight. So this half and half triangle wrap, patterned by Pearl Soho, came with me. And well, I've been eager to show you the progress of it. I can move my progress marker. There's where it was before we went to Denver. So I did all that green. And then, as I said, I came home with COVID and did a lot more. Didn't work on much else but this. So, and sadly for Denver, I got a lot of knitting time in there because there was not much else to do there. We were right downtown, which I guess was hard hit by the pandemic and the economy. So we were surrounded by empty buildings and homelessness. Instead of this, well, I was looking forward to what I saw on Apple Maps, with this 16th Street 5-block long shopping area. And I had some stores picked out that I wanted to go, but it turned out they were closed. The only stores left open really would have fit in only one block. The only store that I did get shopping at was Ross for Dress. What, Ross? Ross Dress for Less. And I bought, I think, 6 dresses that I still need to finish unpacking. And I bought a yarn that I will show you in a bit from the Denver yarn store. But the hotel room had a lovely chaise lounge with an attached little table. So I spent a lot of time there. I binged YouTube and worked away on this. And then, as I said, I came home with COVID and didn't have the mind space for anything else, so I kept going on this. So now it's going to get put back in the plastic bag and sit here by the desk for pick up and knit a few stitches, and as I'm waiting for things to upload. I've got only 60 more wrap and turns to do, but I'm at the point where the rows are taking me to go from the end to the wrap and turn and back to the end is taking me 17 minutes, and the rows are just keep getting longer. So 60 more, probably 30 more hours of knitting for me. So that'll sit. I'm well on my way to finishing for my goal of mid-April. So a stitch here and there, a row here and there as I'm sitting at my desk, and back into its plastic bag so that if we're going anywhere, nothing's in the plans, but if something comes up, I can grab this bag and take it with me. I'll insert a picture here of that project, the half and half triangle wrap, all laid out on my photo board. And I'm using Host Coast yarn for that, from Denmark, in the colors lavender and jade, and I'm using 3.25 millimeter needles. I didn't actually check my gauge on it, but for a shawl, it's going to be square or whatever the size turns out to be, that's fine. But for the actual on the plain knitting, I needed a smaller project, of course. So originally, I intended to take these socks. But before we went to Denver, we went to another hockey game, and I made much more progress on the sock. Let's compare it to the other one that's bound off. So there was not enough work left to do for the plain, so I had to choose another project for the plain. And the project I chose took the same size needles, so I swapped out because I didn't want to risk losing my Chiagus on the plain. These socks, I'm calling them my toeless boss socks. They will have no heel because these socks are not made for walking. And I still need to work out the math for putting separators in between my toes. So that's where the progress on that one stands. So for the plain, I took my Walmart needles and some black fingering weight yarn and started this. it's not actually a new project. It's just another part of an ongoing project. This is the side edge for one of my pillow cushion covers / bag. Stadium sit-upon, I'm calling it. It's a work in progress design. My hockey version is all knit up but not yet assembled. And I'm eager to get started on my soccer version. I also have a graph ready for my basketball and baseball version. So the actual design for the soccer ball graph was too complicated for the plane, but I thought I could get the side edge done. So there's 2 plane rides, Calgary to Denver and Denver back to Calgary. I got this much knit. And even though it's just, 14 stitches, 12 or 14 stitches, and just back and forth, I use circular needles so that I don't lose a needle. And I'm loving my hands, the set I got from Walmart. However, my husband pointed something out. So they're on a couple of different projects. He noticed them first on the half and half wrap, and he made some comment. I'm not sure what he said. And then here, like those ones were purple, these ones are pink. He made a comment. There's another set. And then here in my office, he was in my office going through the bottle of the one that I have left, and another purple set on another project. And he said, they're all right hands. And he was right. Every single one of them is a right hand. There's no lefts. But there's fist, there's flat hands, there's the peace sign. But they're all left hands. Or all right hands, I mean. I'm a little disappointed in that, but I'm still having fun with them. My helping hands. They help keep the stitches from falling off the needles. And look at the project bag I'm using for that. The kids got these from Air Transat probably 15 years ago. Drawstring backpacks. I love drawstring backpacks. It's a perfect project bag because it just scrunches up into my purse. Doesn't take up any extra space. Isn't that cute? So tiny. Hi again. It's Monday now. I've been testing negative for COVID, but I'm still congested. But as you know, I have chronic bronchitis and asthma, so there's always something that's setting me off. The cold air, when the snow starts to melt, there'll be snow mold, then it'll be pollen season, and then it'll be hay season, and then it'll be forest fire season. So there's always going to be something to set me off, so I need to just take my inhalers and keep going. Keep on keeping on. So that's what we're doing. The Love Notes pattern by Tin Can Knits is coming along. Let's show it. I joined the knit along with Megan from Pearl Passion. A few of us there are trucking along with it and sharing our progress and our ideas and getting to know each other, having fun. So, the pattern calls for a lace weight and a fingering weight held together or a DK weight, but I went and used my own brand Pound of Love, a worsted weight yarn. A little on the thinner side of the worsted weight yarn. I hit gauge and it's turning out lovely. But because it's going to be a warm fabric, I decided to go for full length sleeves. And I did the sleeve before we went away to Denver. And seeing it done with full length sleeves on the Fleece and Harmony podcast really sealed the deal on my decision to make it long sleeve. And I love the way it's just a continuous sleeve until it decreases rapidly at the end for that balloon effect. I think I'm going to like that. But then I ran out of yarn, but not really ran out of yarn. I just have to get down into the basement and pull the rest out. I have 2 more pounds in the basement. And I think the body might be too short for my taste. We'll see. Yeah, I think my belly might hang out a bit. We'll see what the neckline does to it first. So I'm going to finish it up and wear it for a bit and decide whether or not I like the body length. Because I can easily change it again later, because as I said, I've still got 2 more pounds of this stuff. I bought 3 pounds of it when it was going on sale, and not directly from Lion Brand. I don't remember what website I bought it from. Probably Yarn Canada. Or Yarns, yeah. I don't know. Anyway, I bought 3 pounds of it because I love purple. So I'm so excited to finally be using it for something. So that's that. I'm going to focus on this and actually get it done this week. I'm determined to get it done this week. So next episode, I should be wearing this. My Over the Rockies shawl pattern has now come back from the technical editor, and she did find a number of typos and made some good suggestions, so that proves to me why it was the right decision to hire a tech editor. A tech editor is, tech is short for technical, a proofreader with the knitting knowledge, with the pattern writing knowledge, so she can make sure I haven't missed any instructions and make sure I'm presenting it very clearly for you. So, yeah, so I'm really pleased with that. The pattern is now in the test knitting phase, and I'm test knitting it again myself in a plain solid color this time. And if you've missed me talking about it before, the Over the Rockies shawl is based on my interpretation of what it looks like looking out of the airplane when you're flying over the Rockies with the zigzaggy mountains, and then there will be sky across the top. The yarn I'm using for this, for the first sample, was Lion Brand ice cream yarn, and which was rather a stripy yarn rather than a variegated blotchy yarn. But I think any DK yarn will work. This one I'm currently using is from Michael's. Loops and Threads is Michael's line. And this is the Luxe Merino blend. The blend of merino and acrylic. Yes. And it's nice and soft and drapey. The pattern is done on a 5mm needle. That gives it some nice drape. So if everything goes well, that pattern will be ready to publish by the end of April. And I will have this sample ready to show you by then too. Oh, I keep forgetting to turn on the light. Those are the only projects I've worked on in the since my last episode. And the only finish was the flower. Then I cast on another one. So my WIP count is still at 11 UFOs. But I'm thinking the sock monkey here on the list, I can't find it. And I'm vaguely having memories of maybe frogging it. I know last February I considered frogging it. Maybe I did. At any rate, when I do find it, if I do find it, I'm frogging it, I'm tossing it. So let's cross that one off the list, bringing our UFO count down to 10. And, yeah, 10. I didn't even work on any dishcloths in the last 3 weeks because I haven't even been on the treadmill. So I have no other news to tell you. So let's pull out those new yarn acquisitions. The Ancient Arts Color of the Month for March, and the yarn I bought in Denver. So, Ancient Arts is one of my local yarn stores here in Calgary. They dye all their yarns right at their location. I linked to their website down below. And I started their monthly subscription in January, so I've been showing you in January. Here's March. It's called Oracle of Delphi. It's dyed on their sock NATO base. fingering weight sock yarn, 80% superwash, 20% nylon. And yeah, I'll read you their notes about this color. It says, when she posted it on Instagram, she said, "This morning I'm delighted to introduce the March color of the month. Our theme for 2023 is interesting archaeological sites. And this month we invite you to come with us to ancient Greece to visit the Oracle at Delphi. Delphi? I don't know. Our color inspiration for this color of the month is the painting Consulting the Delphic Oracle, which you can see if you swipe through the post. The painting is by an unknown artist, but it was done in the mid-1700s when there was a resurgence in interest about the oracle and her prophecies. In ancient times, Delphi was a sacred site where, where a powerful oracle, Delphi was a sacred site where a powerful oracle was consulted about important decisions by people from all over the ancient classical world. Local traditions of the time held that there had been an oracle at this spot as far back as 11th century BCE. The oracle at Delphi was often a middle-aged woman who had a blameless life and who was chosen from among the local peasants. She would leave her family and become a priestess in the temple of Apollo. As the oracle, the priestess would sit on a three-legged stool over the chasm, and the fumes would cause her to fall into a trance. According to the priest, that would allow Apollo to possess her spirit and answer any questions in terms of prophecies, which they would interpret. A more modern interpretation of this oracle and her prophecies is that the chasm was a fissure that allowed volcanic gases to rise up from the depths of the earth. The hydrocarbon vapors were possibly ethylene or ethane, which would result in nonsensical conversation and violent trances, the results of which would be interpreted as visions. It is interesting to note that the oracle was not in session during the colder winter months, at a time when the hydrocarbon fumes were much lessened by the temperatures. The ancients explained that by saying that that was when Apollo was traveling away from his temple, and the god Dionysus was in residence. Believe what you will, the whole history of the oracle and her prophecies is very interesting, and we could get lost in a research trance of her own. I hope you enjoy this color as much as we did in creating it. I agree that history is interesting. I love history. As of recently, I love history. I didn't used to love it. Hated it when I was in school. But in conjunction with my Bible studies, I love ancient history of that era and of that area of the world. Greece and Rome and Israel and all that. So, the Oracle of Delphi, March colorway of the month by Ancient Arts. And then we have my Denver yarn. So before I went to Denver, I asked Apple Maps to show me the yarn stores in the area. And I was excited that there was one 2 blocks away from our hotel. But it took me forever to find it. It was just around the corner from that 16th Street mall strip. But I walked around the block a couple of times and just saw empty storefronts. When I come back from the hotel, I did a Google search again. I confirmed that it was still open. Someone did do a Yelp review just the week before. So I wrote down the address. And it turns out it was on the 4th floor of an office building, and the only signage was a small poster in the lobby. So, lesson learned. Look up the address, write down the address, take the address with you. Anyway. So it was a very small space, an office space, barely bigger than this room. But it's only half of the room was yarns, the other half was bags and stuff. But it was a lot of very pretty stuff. So they had a small selection of local yarns, but the only thing I was attracted to were these. Probably because of the color. It's called Kremke Sole Wool, which I had to look up because there's very little English on this ball band. So it turns out it's from Germany. And to quote the website, mindful yarns curated by Britta. Kremke Sole Wool is a collection of innovative natural fiber yarns with an increasing focus on vegan and recycled yarns. This one is Edelweiss Alpaca. Is it focused? Yeah. And it says it's 65% Shawl, which I had to look up. Shawl means virgin wool. And virgin wool is misleading. It simply means that it's new wool that has not been recycled. So it could be any brand of sheep. It's not telling me. So it's not vegan. And then it's 25% polyamide, which in English is polyamide, which is a plastic, probably nylon. And it's 10% alpaca. So that wool and alpaca blend is very nice and soft. But the polyamide should give it strength, though it should be a good sock yarn. And each ball is 100 meters at 25 grams. So 3 balls should be enough for a pair of socks. I don't know, I haven't been much of a sock knitter yet, but I want to get into it. I want to design Junebug socks to match my Junebug poncho / wrap pattern. So that's sometime in the future. And we're all caught up. So if you've enjoyed this, please click the like button so that more people can be shown the video. And click the subscribe button so you can be notified when the next video goes online. I aim to post every 2 weeks, but as proven things happen, that changed that up a bit. So let's get back on schedule, hopefully. And I thank you for watching. And happy knitting, happy stitching, happy baking, happy jigsaw puzzling. Whatever it is you do, go find some joy. So as soon as I start talking about not being able to find my monkey, I find it. I went down to get my next ball of yarn for my Love Note sweater and decided to look in a different spot. And there it is. Back from the days when I used plastic bags for project bags. All these little bitty pieces that I am, oops, and eyes. Sorry. All these little bitty pieces that I am never going to put together for a monkey. So I don't know if I'll bother frogging this or just toss it. Maybe I'll frog it. I don't think I have any brown yarn in my stash. Not that there's enough here to do much with. The tail got stuffed. There's a banana. But yeah, I started this way back when the kids were little. But there are no kids anymore. So it's getting frogged. And the safety eyes. Nice to know that I have them. If something comes up. Anyway. So if you're pondering over something, missing something, start talking about it and then it'll turn up. And now I'm being wishy-washy because now that I have it all spread out, I see that all of the pieces are there. It's all been knit. It just needs stuffing and assembling. And I'm getting sentimental because all those little tiny white hairs in it are from Frodo, our dog that we have that's been gone now for 7 years. So I'm getting sentimental and wishy-washy. So maybe I will finish this. Anyway, so it's back on the WIP count now. It's back. It's still a UFO. And my WIP count is still at 11.